we've already seen, and I'm jumping into the NFL now, week 2 was full of injuries to some big name players, some very key players on both sides of the ball for numerous teams. Injuries can play a big factor in football no matter the season, but considering there weren't OTAs, training camps were weird and abbreviated, there was no preseason or scrimmages for a lot of teams, whether that be college or the pros. It'll be very interesting to see how teams are able to handle and mitigate that risk. In the NFL, there has been a lot of rotations in some of these skill position players, and colleges have bigger rosters, so we'll see how that goes. But, I mean, there's reports that Saquon Barkley may have torn his ACL today.
Yeah, it was not a great Sunday for NFL superstars staying healthy. Even at the end of the Panthers game, Christian McCaffrey went down. We saw a Bosa brother go down in the Jet game. Garoppolo went down in the San Francisco Jet game. So, Higgins, it was not a great weekend for NFL players. But I do think it's interesting kind of to continue the whole COVID related issues. Like we saw one of Michigan's backup quarterbacks, Dylan McCaffrey, obviously Christian McCaffrey and younger brother, Ed
Mm-hmm.
McCaffrey's son. He's transferring from Michigan. And then Tate Martell, a former top recruit, Ohio State, couldn't get on the field there. Transferred to Miami. Then De'Ara King transferred in, so he's struggling to get on the field there. He's trying to transfer, and I just think if I was a coach during this time, I'd want as much talent as possible in my program. I'd just be like, no, trust me, you want to stay here because we have no idea what could happen to our starting quarterback in a week, in 3 days, in 2 hours. So it's just so much up in the air. I just think these coaches are crazy for letting some of this talent walk out mid-season.
Next man up mentality. I remember it being preached in sports all throughout growing up. Especially in football, you never know with an injury that can happen on any play. You got to be ready to fill that void, and I agree. There's some backups that are leaving positions that you never know. It could be COVID, it could be an injury from the weird process that we've had in terms of training. You could be in next week in
Right.
the second quarter. Like,
Right. I mean, even if it's just not directly COVID related, just from all the restrictions of COVID and everyone's bodies aren't fully in tune to game shape, and all of a sudden you're in the second half. It's crazy all the variables this year, and you just see some of these kids walking out of school. I'm like, like you're really not that far away from playing of
mhm.
all seasons this season.
Well, let's jump in and talk about Monday night's game, though, because we do still have an NFL game to talk about, Brett. The Saints versus the Las Vegas Raiders. And this is the debut of that shiny black stadium that was built in Vegas. It looks amazing. I can't wait to see the. Uh, there's going to be plenty of packages. They're going to hype that up in the broadcast, obviously. It'll be very cool to see what a Las Vegas football stadium is going to look like completely finished now. But Brett, we're testing the pillars again, and I know that this stadium is known to have pillars.
Yeah, we're testing the limits here, but maybe it's just that good of a pick, Higgins. It really could just be that simple. Drew Brees, it is a road game, but he's playing in a dome and he's playing on turf, and no Michael Thomas, but Emmanuel Sanders is there, Cook's there, Kamara's playing, so I feel pretty good about New Orleans, even on the road, at under a touchdown favorites versus the Raiders at -5.5.
Yeah, -5.5. If it was close to the like a point closer, a point and a half to that full touchdown, I probably would have stayed away and found a different way to get into this game. But -5.5, I think that that is easily manageable even without Michael Thomas. You mentioned Emmanuel Sanders. I drafted him on my fantasy team this year because I thought he would be an excellent complement to Michael Thomas in that offense. Now, with Thomas having to sit out this game, I think Sanders will get a lot of targets here. Kamara, he played fantastic, showing how happy he is once he got paid last week. And you always got to remember Taysom Hill. You can line him up anywhere. Line him up literally anywhere.
Wild card.
That over-under at 48.5, though, I'm not very confident in that over. I'm going to stay away from it, but I don't have faith in Derek Carr to put points up to compete against Drew Brees in that sense, so I don't know if that 48.5 is going to really happen. Like, that would take 28 to 21.
Yeah, 48.5. It seems a little high. I'd probably lean under on that. The Saints actually do have a pretty good defense, and the Raiders have some good athletes in their secondary as well, and some guys that can get after the quarterback. So it could be under that 48.5 for sure.
Yes. The New Orleans money line, by the way, minus 235. Might be a good parlay partner with something if you find it. Maybe go cross sports and go with some of those MLB picks that we were giving out earlier, like the Cubs-Yankees leans that you and I gave out that there weren't lines out for yet, but could potentially be heavy enough. I could see that Yankees potentially being in the 200s or the Cubs against the Pirates, who have played abysmally. The Pirates 1-9 in their last 10, like I said a few times on this podcast. Both could be good parlay partners, I think.